responsible for crime investigation. I am sure that we will have a very engaging discussion this morning, because I know that in your secondary schools there are some issues that arise which have to involve the police. We're asking that those who wish to make a contribution would indicate so that I can give you the microphone. Our session is being recorded and we would like you to be able to share your contribution by using the microphone. So I will ask others to be very courteous when your colleagues are making their contribution. About 5 minutes or so before the session ends, we will wrap up because it's a continuous session and there is no break. Of police, please welcome him.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, head teachers and PTA reps and both. This morning, I have been asked to deliver on the subject where the principles stop and the police begins. Now, I was also advised it is a very interactive session, that for one, you don't want a lecture. You want to hear from me, or you want me to answer your questions, so to speak. So I'm anticipating a very interactive session this morning. First of all, let me say that the Commissioner of Police and the senior management of the force welcomes this opportunity to be part of your discussions and part of your conference here today. It is indeed a delightful opportunity for us to share with you what we are seeing from where we are, from where we sit, and for you to tell us from where you are what, if anything, we are doing wrong, or what we can do to improve the relationship. Now, since I've been advised it is interactive and we are into a time capsule, so to speak, I would want to be very brief in my introduction so that you will have an idea as to where I am coming from, where I, as a member of the force and representative of the force, where we are coming from in relation to how we understand the concept of safe schools, how we understand the principles world, how we understand the school's environment. And perhaps one of the things that informed my thinking in preparing this presentation is the number of questions that come to me in relation to the whys. Why you don't do this? Why it's, why your response is that? Why there's no feedback? Why there's no follow-up? We do have lots of whys. And I'm hoping that in this discussion I'm able to show you not only our side of it, but what the judicial or the legal side represents in understanding the situation. So, where the principle stops and the police begins. For me, the principle should never stop. As far as I'm concerned, the police is always there. The police is always at the beginning. I'm to assume that you want to stop at some point. And you want to introduce the police at another point. So in our discussion, we would look at, should you stop? Should we participate in your reports and your requests? At what level should we participate? So that is in itself my approach to this discussion. Now, I thought of why we are doing it, and apart from what is set out in the invitation, I thought that we would want to strengthen our relationship with heads, with schools, and obviously the ultimate aim, the overarching aim, is to make schools safe. We want to be able to identify the parameters within which the principals should summon the police and notify parents. And I would take this opportunity to look at some current issues from the police perspective and to provide you with an understanding of police response. Now, I'm thinking on my feet whether I should engage you from the outset, or I think because it's an interactive session, I think we can make some interventions as we go on. Because again, time is of essence, so we might not necessarily be able to travel all the road that we want to travel this morning. So these are the objectives that we are trying to achieve in this particular session. And I probably will break the ice by saying, is there a need to strengthen the relationship between the police and the schools and principals? Is there a need? Is there a relationship at this time? Yeah. And to what extent, or to what degree are you playing your part? You're playing your part to the extent that you call us when you want us, and not being proactive or being anticipatory in terms of problems at the school. And the second objective, because we want to get everybody active and talking, are there any parameters within which the principal ought to operate and notify police about occurrences? Are there any early warning relationships that we need to develop in understanding those parameters? Or do you wait to create the reactive response? You find somebody with drugs, call the police. You find somebody with an offensive weapon, call the police. But is there any time before that we need to be involved in kind of strengthening or creating a relationship that we would know that we could preempt a particular set of behaviors from the police perspective? And we look at current issues in relation to what's happening in Barbados. Because obviously the schools represents what's happening in society, what's happening in the community. And the behaviors that you see in school are manifested in society on a day-to-day basis. And they are manifested by adults, not, again, children. So we will want to look at the current issues to see where we are, and obviously to provide some understanding of a response. What I've shared from is being burdened with stats, because I can actually provide you with stats as to our responses, especially as it relates to 2013. And in looking at the stats or in analyzing them, I recognize that some schools are more challenged than others. So I said for this discussion, I would not want to create a response to a principal style. I would not want to create a response to the school environment. Whether there's a firms at school, whether there's a fair approach, whether there's a real strong teaching fraternity, whether there's the level of cooperation needed to forward the agenda of the school. So I would not dwell on stats. I might refer to them from time to time, but I will not go too deep into the analysis of the stats. We talk about battle rhythm in terms of our discussions because we want to be really on edge. So I'm going to talk to you about just about every little issue there, a little brief on the RBPF, not a brief in terms of you establishing 1835 and that sort of thing. I'm just going to give you something that would whet your appetite so that you can understand our motive for doing things, or you can see our deficiencies or gaps in terms of how we apply. We look at our powers and best practices and the procedural element in case the matter is reported to the police. This is what happened. This is how it is processed. This is what you can expect from us. This is what you can call on us to give. And obviously there are issues that confront us on a day-to-day basis. And these issues include, well, we have a lot of gun violence now, not a lot in terms of, when we look at recording gun violence, it is down. But when we look at fear of crime, it's up. And maybe that is because the way the media is reporting instances. So it kind of creates a fear that is, in my mind, more challenging than the actual crime itself. Because you walk around thinking that, am I going to be next? Am I going to be a stray bullet victim? That sort of thing. So we have some issues that are before us, and bullying, drug abuse, weapon possession, knives, and that sort of thing. So therefore, we look briefly at those issues, and then we look at, you tell me, what is policing public schools? How difficult it is in this day and age. Because we are all leaders, we are all managers, and therefore we must work within the framework of delivering the best product, delivering on what we are mandated to do. So that is what we are going to be engaging in very quickly. The Royal Barbados Police Force. The Royal Barbados Police Force is driven by 167, the Police Act 167, and you find all the directions, all the issues under as it relates to organization under Chapter 167. We have within that chapter to deliver on order maintenance, maintain order. We have crime prevention and detection as part of our mandate. And again, we are the sole law enforcement agency responsible for that aspect of operations and preservation of the peace. And those things should fit nicely into your concept of a safe school. Order, preservation of the peace, prevention and detection of crime. The prevention and the detection aspect is a reactive aspect. And for us, we are measured on crime committed and crime detected as an organization. So if we don't do well in terms of crime detection, or if crime run away with, recorded crime were to run away, then we will be marked very heavy. And as head teachers, you probably would fail us. We carry the mission to deliver the highest quality of service in partnership with the community to ensure a safe and secure environment. That is what drives us every day. We want to deliver the highest quality of service. We want to do it in partnership. We want to make sure that the environment remains safe and secure. You will probably say to me, but deliver the highest quality of service. I can point to areas of deficiencies as it relates to the delivery of highest quality. What do you mean by highest quality? But we always say within the context of the mission, while it is up there, ideal, it's a work in progress. It has to be a work in progress. Because again, the force is made up of so many officers from different socialization. Notwithstanding you go through a 6-month period, notwithstanding you are exposed to background screening, notwithstanding you go in service training. But because we come from different societies, so to speak, different communities, we have to get people thinking about the mission, about the vision of the force. And something that can prove to be elusive, especially with some officers. And obviously you see our vehicles get secure, protect, serve, protect, and reassure. That is what we're all about. We are protecting, we are serving, we are reassuring. So does that give you an understanding of why we exist, or we don't satisfy an existence at this time? Let me be provocative. What do you think about the force?
Albert Joseph, Industry High School in St. Philip. I'm going to suggest that we have a more friendly title. Royal Barbados Police Force. Just a suggestion. Our title and approach and so on is more friendly.
You say it is more friendly, or we need to have a more friendly?
We need to have a suggestion, maybe a name change, etc. Thank you.
But some people would argue that because of the type of society, because of the way we were acculturated or socialized, we are not going to feel comfortable with an agency which has the responsibility for law enforcement, creating a service. People would argue that, again, you need to show the energy, you need to show the power, you need to show the authority. So therefore, force has a special connotation in terms of the understanding of what police represents. But it's a discussion that we have gone into from time to time when we are shaping our strategic direction, when we are advising government as to where we are going in terms of the force model. So,
he's probably trying to say that you should use the word service.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That'd be better. No.
But what do you think? What do you think? Because I'm here to hear you in your feedback. And this is perhaps one of the interventions that you can make. What do you think of the force?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Could the force be more preventive agency rather than a reactionary agency?
Could it be?
More prevention rather than reaction?
I will want to suggest that we are preventative.
It's not knowing perceived that way.
Because we do routine patrols, because we do our preventative works, we have programs that meet certain needs. We create a preventative platform. And because again, it's the way how we measure how our bottom line looks in terms of the amount of crime, the amount of traffic violation, the amount of accidents. The bottom line tends to suggest a reactive organization. But in actual fact, we are predicated on a very strong preventive platform. We are the people are we, Robert Peel philosophy, policing philosophy. But it cannot be, in terms of policing, it cannot be an exercise of the police alone. It must be an exercise of each person to prevent, to do the things that are necessary to maintain law and order, to preserve the peace. Those are the things that you and I can sit together and we can build that strong, we can build that strong relationship.
Assistant Commissioner,
Boys or acting commissioner, I'm not sure, but
Okay.
acting commissioner?
Acting Assistant
Acting
Commissioner.
Assistant Commissioner, I want to get your title right. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
As much as I understand Albert's question, whether you're force or whether you're Americans and call themselves department or something, I think in the interest of time, because my watch is almost saying 20 minutes, I'm seriously interested in the relationship between the school and the police and where one starts to the other starts. So I'm wondering if I can be so bold as to ask you to skip and let's get to that so I can get some of my questions answered before time.
Okay. As I said, the reason why because we sometimes deal with the issue without not understanding the other person's situation, not understanding the organization. So your question might have implications for understanding the organization. Why do I respond 15 minutes after, 20 minutes after?
Yeah, but can I ask you this? We have Section 64 of the Education Act that directly tells us that when we should call you most of the time.
Yes.
And then we have another document that we work with, the Code of Conduct and Discipline in Schools, that we follow. And so I would want to hear your thoughts on Section 64
Okay.
and the code if you've ever seen it, and to discuss with us if there's something we need to add, or if you notice that there are things coming to you that are outside of the code, or what is the, you understand what I'm saying?
Okay, I understand you fully. Yeah, I think,
Us
I think for the,
where we are with the parts of certain Section 64
Okay.
and our code, and the number of things that come to you individually from schools to see how we can move forward.
So can I ask you, what is your challenge with the powers within the Education Act 64? What is the challenge? Because when I examined the act, it seemed quite straightforward. You have the power to search, you have the power to person and property. You have the power to prevent people from trespassing, from people from interfering with your business.
Let me give you one, for example, just to get it going. Can the principal demand that a security guard, for example, because every school has one, take a child and move him straight out of school and put him outside, as an example?
Again, it has to do with the
horribly disruptive.
It has to do with the relationship with the security personnel. It has to do with the mandate of why is there a security guard? Is he just there to manage people entering the premises?
But does the law allow me, the principal, does the law allow me to give an instruction to a security guard to move a child off the compound, as an example?
As is, no. As is from Section 64, no. If you have to do that, you have to do it on your own, with the assistance of the security guard, of course. I don't know the terms and references as to why the security guard is on the premises. I haven't gone into the relationship between the school and the security guard.
Let me ask another. If the security guard is not a justice of the peace, I'm one, so I believe I could arrest or demand that people arrest. If he's not an island constable, and a child is so destructive that he poses a serious threat to life of teachers and life of support staff and life of children, what is the instruction I'm going to get from the police on that?
Describe destructive behaviors.
Suppose the child is throwing desks, throwing desks and chairs and so on.
There's no difficulty there. Then you can call the police. Because again, within 64 days, disturbance.
Let me say, if the police is not going to be there in 5 minutes, because I'm still to see a 5-minute response from the police, regardless of how close. And I don't mean to be disparaging to police, but given the average time that it takes the police to get to a school, the child could kill somebody while they're late. So my question is, can the security guard and the principal, or can the security guard and 2 male teachers take a child and put him in a room and restrain him, either with
I would think that that is
I don't want to think, I want you to tell us, because we're going to do it if we have to.
No, for your own safety and security, you need to take that action. You need to take that action. You're not going beyond your powers. If you take the student who's disruptive,
Who's a threat?
a threat,
Like the limb.
and hold him until the police arrives, there's nothing wrong with that.
On the point of the relationship between the police and the schools, for instance, we get instances where parents, because of something that's happened, go to the police to report the matter, and the police tells them, come back to the school. Wherein lies the authority or the power? The parent has decided they want to take a matter to the police. They go to the police and the police say, go back to the school. That happens all the time.
But it depends on what is reported to the police. If something that does not represent a criminal matter, then it has to be resolved at school level.
And I think this is what we're here trying to get at. What is a criminal matter as far as the police are concerned? Because the parent might see it as a criminal matter, and
Give me an example.
okay, a child strikes another child, causing some type of injury, right? It might be with their fist, it might be with an object. They go to the police and report the matter. And the police tells them, go back to the school.
And it happened on the school premises.
Yes. And even things that happen outside of the school as well, they're also told that.
I think in that particular instance, we would not have gotten it right. Because if there's an assault is an intent to create assault and a battery, then that's a criminal offense. And that's actionable. You can put that before the court. I don't see why the police officers should say to you, go back to the school to settle the matter, unless there is some element of negotiation that the person who's making the report is prepared to undertake to meeting with the school head or the school principal. But if it's a crime is, you have assault, you have woundings, you have offensive weapons, you have obstruction, you have a range of adult offenses that are translated into the school environment. So if it's an assault in the bigger world, it's an assault in school. No. The challenge can come when an investigation unfolds and find that it was some, plaything. Then the decision has to be whether you're going to charge or whether you're going to, and we have the juvenile liaison think that the matter is serious enough. But one of the things that jump out at me in my policing career, especially as it relates to school, is the fact that you spoke to reactive. When these things come to us, we are seeing a single event, we are seeing a single person. We're not seeing behaviors before that would say to us, well, yes, he is in fact somebody that we need to work, or we need to put before the court, or we need to have care proceedings instituted. we see a single event. And if you were exposed to going to court, jury duty, you can find that the single event is what preoccupies the court and not necessarily your antecedent. So I can commit the most heinous crime and I can go to the court with the jury and I can look as innocent as if I've never done anything before. I can speak as though, I am so sorry. And you sitting on the jury would not necessarily know that this man has a history of violence, a history of property crime and that sort of thing. And you'd be saying, Kadir. So it's something that, again, in this relationship, we need to explore. There's another aspect to that. If you bring a child to me, I can actually do a background investigation to find out where the child has come from. I might find that the family situation is familiar to me as a police officer, as an investigator. So therefore, I expect that behavior to follow wherever the child goes because of the aggressiveness, the domestic situation. But again, it depends on what is requested by the party, who's making the complaint, who's making the request.
Thank you. And one area I wanted to touch on as well that you mentioned earlier, you mentioned that we tend to be reactive. But let me say, in my experience, that the police do not have, and I've been told this, the time, the personnel to really do the proactive work. I'll speak first. I have sat with police officers who I think with all good intention and are quite polite and nice and everything else. And we have talked about the possibilities of coming in and speaking to children, which have been done in the past and everything, and helping us to deal with groups of children who we see are having certain challenges, some because of their background, and we see certain trends developing. But I'm just being real and honest and say this, especially now that they do not have the type of personnel. And even at times when you see a potential problem developing, maybe of people gathering outside the school, or you see certain things, and you call, I agree that you don't always get an immediate response. And it can sometimes lead to problems. So there are issues involved in the relationship and things that we might want to be better that are not necessary so because of a lack of personnel.
I take your point. I'll give you an example. I was asked to go to a school maybe over a year ago to do a good boy talk. To that, I was told that I was going to meet about 50, 60 disruptive children, bad behaved children. So they wanted me to come and talk to them about the virtues of being good, the virtues of, of being a good police and that. And I went to the school and it really opened my eyes because I never anticipated that was the kind of environment that teachers operate in on a day-to-day basis. They put like 60 children in a room. And I came in. First of all, there were about 4 or 5 teachers. And they were trying to control those 60 children. As soon as there was a level of quietness, somebody walked in, and again, the whole thing disrupted. Eventually, they got the kids to quiet, to settle. And I started to talk about, the good side of life. You need to go to school, you need to do this, you need to do that. Nobody listened. It started another conversation. So I said, I told one of the teachers who was coordinating the program, so I can stand up there the whole day and I only get 5 minutes of word, 5 minutes of talk, because we can't get these people controlled the way we want them controlled to sit down and listen. And even if they sit down and listen, they're not paying attention. So I said to her, let me try something. Let me find out what they want to talk, what they want to hear from me as a police officer. And you know, I said that to them, and they went like really settled, really quiet. And then they start bombarding me with questions. Is it true in prison you do this? Is it true in prison you can't bend down? Is it true in prison you do this? All those kind of questions were directed at me. And to accentuate it now, because obviously I'm a police, is it true the police beat people? Is it true you come in the house and kick down the place? Is it true you disturb people in the early morning and, you know, throw beds and things all over the place? And I said, you know, in a good PR, I said, well, that don't happen. If it happens, it has to be a reason. And the two youngsters get up and say, Skipper, I just live at the house. You just come at the house every time. Not me. Not me. The police come at the house and do this to my uncle and do that to my uncle. So it kind of zipped me up because I had to take his word for what he was saying. But I got an appreciation for the challenges that disruptive students can create within a school environment. And I mean, it was an eye-opener. Actually, I had to remark my appreciation for teaching because I know my job is tough, but the good thing about my job is I deal with adults. But you deal with children who may be under the age of criminal responsibility, maybe juvenile, and you're trying to instill in them a way of life. So I gather a deep appreciation for the efforts that you put in terms of manning those kids. But that's just a personal experience, and it lived with me ever since.
Olivia Cox from Metropolitan. Metropolitan High School. I want to say I was pleasantly surprised when about 4 or 5 of your officers came in. Actually, I keep a desk downstairs in the bookshop, and the gates to the school, anyone who's coming in, they must come into the bookshop first. And they said that they just came to see if everything was all right, and they wanted to have a closer relationship between the force and the school, and they even offered to come in, I think it's on Wednesday, that they said they would come in and talk to the pupils and try to initiate a better relationship between the force and the children and try are there any problems and so on. I was really pleasantly surprised, and I promised them that on Wednesday they'll be able, whoever, to come. But there were just a group of them passing through, and they said they want a better relationship between the school and the force, and therefore they were just coming along to see what they could do. So thank you very much for that, sir.
Okay, but I need to get back to the point raised by the young lady over there in relation to our relationship, in relation to Mr. Farley, you are on the mic.
I wish I could say like Mr. Cox. The officers have time to pass through. But we do have some proactive programs that seek to pave the way for better relations between the police and the school. But really burning my passion is the concern that seems to suggest, ACP Boys, that there is a philosophy within the force which promotes the concept that the police do not like to lock up children. Is that, you accept that? You don't like to get your people locked.
That's one of the white questions that came to me some time ago. Why?
Even though you might be having a big issue with 2 or 3 children who are threatening to crack somebody's skull, to shoot somebody, to link down somebody, and we see it as a challenge, the police are very reluctant to pursue any criminal course because in this philosophy, young people really should not be locked up. So referring to the juvenile liaison scheme, which for many people is a toothless mechanism that encourages students to do what they find difficulty doing. It's a nice intent, but really the children who pass through it don't really reflect the kind of impact that we are looking for. So my concern is it a fact for me to suggest that there is a philosophy within the force?
I think, Mr. Farley, one of the things that perhaps inform that kind of thinking is our whole concept of community policing. I was going to talk about our programs and in the 80s we went into what we call community policing as a philosophy. That means that we are problem solvers. We solve problems. And our problem in solving problems, we are not looking to incarcerate people or to put people before the court. We are looking for best solutions in an amicable way. And that has kind of informed the thoughts of many of the officers. The same analysis can be put to domestic violence situations where, again, the philosophy or the thinking is that we must keep the family together as distinct from pull away the aggressor and that sort of thing. I think, yes, we want to do it as a last resort. But we cannot do it as a last resort unless we hear from you. So if you call me and you tell me there is a student at your school who's making threats, real threats to kill, is an offense. You can be arrested and charged for that. If you're an adult and you threaten me, you say you're going to blow me up or kill me, it's coming for you, and I'm going to arrest you and put you before the court as an adult, 16 years and over. If you're a child and you say that, we probably would not want to put the person before the court for the simple reason that there's not enough background information to suggest that this person is bent on that sort of behavior. And that's probably why we created the juvenile liaison to intervene in those matters. You go to school, guy goes to the staff room, takes up a purse of a teacher. That's a crime. That's theft. The dishonest appropriation of property belonging to another. That's theft. That's a arrestable offense. You call the police respond. But before we actually charge, we will sit with the teacher and the student to determine whether or not we can apply a caution to that individual. A caution that would stipulate that if you breach, or if your behavior is of such, then you can be prosecuted. So again, it has to do with the understanding of the community concept of policing. Problem solving. And I don't know if we're getting it right. We might not be getting it right. But the feeling is that we must try to keep as many persons who are prone to a particular behavior on a particular path.
Perhaps therein lies the problem then, in that there may be a philosophical divide between what we perceive to be behaviors that are criminal in terms of what is presented in school, and how the force believes that those behaviors should be dealt with, and the extent to which we should say to the young people, many of whom are hiding behind the school uniform and exhibiting behaviors that are in their very nature criminal. How do you deal with that?
But as long as it's behavior that is criminal and is arrestable, the matter should be referred and you should be prosecuted. when I look at the education, I see offenses in some instances against persons and against students, pupils. Offenses, assault, obstruct. Those are offenses in the adult world that is arrestable and prosecutable. So there should not be that difference. I don't know. Maybe the community side of or understanding of that philosophy has kind of softened our approach, especially to persons who are coming in custody for the first time. If we were to do an investigation and we find that there's a history, not that it would inform the offense, but it would tell us that this person is beyond care proceedings. This person needs to be taken to another level. And I don't know, maybe we need to revisit our approach to dealing with matters reported to us from schools. But I can tell you, when I look at these stats, there's a particular school that makes constant reports, and not necessarily from the premises, but the students are always involved in something along the road, on the bus, something. And in most instances, they are prosecuted. And I've been in a meeting where it was suggested that we might be criminalizing people that we need to sit and talk to and put into care proceedings. But I don't know.
Sir, I'm from the government.
I'm Hector Bell, Principal Simon Jaffa Prescott Polytechnic. First of all, I want to say we at the Polytechnic are deeply appreciative of the services which we receive from the police. We invite them on our premises at times when we know activity it's an entrepreneurial activity potential for that occurring will exist because we're defined. Yeah. So drugs, and once we find drugs, we find weapons. Okay, and we have to ensure that our students are always safe. So we invite policemen on our premises, undressed if you please, not with uniform. We let our students know, we let them know that we have policemen on our premises at any time. Therefore, they themselves, if they have it in their mind to commit some act, and they're 16 plus minor, 16 plus till retirement age, if they have it in their mind to commit some act, they have second thoughts because they don't know who's who, because some of the same undressed policemen wear Polytechnic uniforms. We live that now. We give them the uniform to wear. We have to be proactive.
Plain clothes.
Okay. No, plain clothes. One of our polo shirts. Because the idea is, if you think like when you go to our stints, that anyone around you could be a police officer, you will have second thoughts about taking some type of illegal access. So by doing so, we have been able to, more or less, entertain the good relationship with the police at all times, and anytime something gets out of hand, the first thing I ask is there mens rea and actus rea? Did the guy think, is this a reflective type of action? Or is this something that the guy was thinking of? And if I recognize that both of them go together, is that mental element? And they act. I know it's a crime.
Yeah.
Therefore, staff inform the principal, and the principal is the person who should summon the police on the premises. Not just any staff member summon the police. And once you have that in place, you don't have any problem. But we at the Polytechnic, we have our fair share of problems, even at night, evening students where some students would have been attacked. It's adults person. We ensure that we inform the police and ask for their presence at those times, because protection of persons on campus is very, very important to us. And I think that if most schools entertain a good relationship with, there are a lot of policemen up there, believe it or not. The policemen are social animals. They will come around the school, talk to the children. And once they see those persons around, you'll find that you won't get that type of problem. Added to that, staff are required during those break periods, which you find most problems occurring at schools. You have to keep your eyes open. I have to not act, remain in the classroom. It's our staff remain in the classroom or staff room during those lunch breaks. Is where you have most problems. So you must walk around, do some supervision, assist the police, and assist you be the police yourself, matter of fact.
No, one of the things.
That does not happen.
One of the things I would want to, because I'm told that I haven't even started at the end. One of the things I would want you to do as principals is to relate to the station in your area.
Yeah.
Relate to the station in your area, the station sergeant. Yeah, you might not want to relate to the divisional head because he might be in Oystins, he might be in Bridgetown, he might be in Whole Town. But you relate to the station sergeant who has responsibility for your jurisdiction. And keep on him. Keep on him. Let him know that there is a problem. Let him know that he needs to take the action that you are requesting. And that is one of his function, is to ensure that his community or his jurisdiction is safe and secure. And that the schools within his jurisdiction are safe. I would like to have told you that, yes, we have a day program. Yes, we have community officers. Yes, we have school liaisons from time to time. Yes, we have station managers. Yes, we instruct our shifts when they're on patrol to pass by the school to have a look in. Yes, we encourage interaction between teachers, between students. Yes, we encourage interaction between parents. Yes, we ask that when there is, after 3 o'clock, when kids assemble at bus terminals and in bus stops, that we pass and make our presence felt. We do all that in terms of our trying to maintain some level of safeness and security as it relates to our children. But you have to build that relationship with the station managers, with the shift sergeant, and if you are in the influence of a divisional head, relate to him. Let him know that you're having these amount of problems at your school. I know there's one school that had invited the K-9 to come and do a demonstration. A demonstration with the intent to show the students this is the capacity of the K-9. But in actual fact, the underlying reason was to sniff out any drugs that was in the school compound. But you can't say you bring the dogs to you have to find a way, a mechanism whereby you can deliver in a holistic way a particular program, but at the same time you achieve a particular objective. But we need to be talking a lot. And I don't know, the DARE program has had its challenges with resources. The school liaison have had challenges with resources. The community officers, we have had challenges with resources. And one thing you recognize in policing, the criminal don't sit back and say, well, we did a murder in St. Lucie or St. Peter a week ago. They do one in St. Philip the same day, then they do one in Christchurch 2 days after. So it's a very dynamic, a fluid situation that keep you really, really running. Fire, so to speak. But when I can only say to you, I can only open up the line of communication from a station level. Get to know your station sergeant, sit down and talk to him about the problems you have, and open up that relationship. If an offense has been committed, as being an offense, it should be arrested and put before the court. I know there was a head teacher who always complained. You can tell me I find my student with drugs. A student with drugs. Not once, not twice, and all you're doing is saying to me, you're working with him. You're working with him. Again, that might be a misinformed response from us. Because if you're found with drugs and it's more than once, I can't see who you're working with. Anyway, I have to. Okay.
Good morning. My name is Bridget Baker from the NCPDA. Now, you would understand that part of the community of a school is the parents. So my question is, if you have a situation in the school, now I believe that the first person that you should contact is the principal. But if your principal doesn't want to take up the matter, what do you do as a parent in terms of at what time do you contact the police if it's such a serious nature as that? And I believe most principals here...
But you can go and report the matter to the police, and we should follow it from there.
We should follow
Yeah, we should follow it from there.
Okay, now I remember my colleague here said that there were situations that she know of where parents actually went to the police and they were sent back to the school. Now, if you find yourself in a situation like that, then what's the next step?
They should not. I don't know what was reported. I don't know what was reported, because what can be reported can seem to be a matter that can be negotiated at the school. So if you come and I'll give you an example. I don't see Mr. Broom here, but there was an incident at Parkinson's quite recently where a student struck another student to the extent that, it was just minutes away from a murder or something like that. And we responded not on the direction of the school, on the direction of the parent. And when we got to the school, I am not quite clear if the facts were available to us. But there's certain things that I wish we could have a deeper discussion, in that you're dealing with juvenile, you're dealing with people who, from a police perspective, cannot be interviewed unless there is an adult. And unless there is a parent or guardian, notwithstanding the principal. So you have to bear all those things in mind. That yes, you can hold the student, but we still need to have the parent or the guardian present. Now, I hope I've provoked you into thinking that we are on your side, that we are in for safe schools, that we are not soft, that from a community philosophy, we want to be fair and we want to deliver so that society can have a level of order and peace, and there'll be, less anxiety. There were so many other things that we could have gone into in terms of, you interviewing, what we require of you from a police perspective. Because if you report a matter to us, you've got to give us a statement. And you've got to help us to get witnesses in the process. And a witness is not necessary. A witness still has the obligation, or we still have the obligation to do it in the presence of parent or whatever, or guardian. So it's easy to say, call the police, and then we can't get a statement from you. We're finding it difficult to get the teacher to come forward and give a statement. Because in the end, you say, well, the court process is a long process, and sometimes you spend, 2 or 3 years trying to get to the root of a matter.
If the parents don't come where you're going through this process, what happens then?
We would identify, or adult would be identified to us that can deal with the matter. The adult that is not part of the investigation, there's that provision for the use of an adult, other than the parent.
Yvette Bassler, the Nation. I wouldn't want this session to end without having at least a line to answer this question, where the power of the principal ends. Really.
No, I would want to suggest to you it does not end. I want to suggest to you that because you are the CEO of the school, your participation or your involvement does not end. As a matter of fact, you should be following the career of that particular individual. You should be following, you should be asking for feedback on where the matter is in terms of court. You should be asking if it's care proceedings and that sort of thing in place to ensure that we have not criminalized a person who could make an otherwise good contribution to society. So it does not end. For us, we are always there. For us, we always want to be there. Unfortunately, I detect that we are not a hand away. I detect that there are gaps and there are deficiencies and that we need to, from a police perspective, to deliver this aspect. But we are going to work towards that process. But in relation to the question, we tend to think that principal, yes, as long as the matter is reported to him and he considers it to be a serious and a matter requiring police attention, he should call the police. And we should respond. And we should take the best action possible. If it is an arrest and charge, we do that.
The officer in the juvenile department, is he trained in
social work? Yeah, into social work.
Just to ask, what is that question that is lingering in our minds? Two children from school A and school B fight in Bridgetown at 5:30, still in the park. Who's responsible?
Does the principal know? It is a responsibility.
Who knows?
The principal knows.
5:30.
Is it reported to us or is it something we stumble on?
No, my question is, where does the principal role end and the police begin in that scenario?
No, in that scenario, if you want to be very technical, the principal does not have a role there. The principal does not have a role if they fight on a ZR, if they fight in a minibus, if they fight at a bus stop.
He's going to have no role.
Nah, the principal has no role. Yeah, we would be in contact with you to let you know that, yes, that is a student from your school, and you will probably give us a history as to the behavior to help us determine the path. But as far as we are concerned, that is a matter that we deal with outside of the school setting.
So I want to thank Mr. Boyce for his time. He had a very hectic morning, and he had to just settle himself, and he tried to get you engaged, and I believe he accomplished that. I'm asking you at this time to please give him a round of applause.